Pulau Perak is interesting because it is one of the two islands in Malaysia which oceanic bird use as a place for resting. One is Pulau Perak, the other is Pulau Sipadan. In Pulau Perak, there was hardly any trees. Early surveys in the 50s shows there was only one tree. The whole island looks white because of the dropping of the oceanic bird. That's why the term Perak. Perak means silver. This dropping becomes soil over time, and slowly new vegetation begins to inhabit in the island. Initially in Pulau Perak, there were two major oceanic birds, the brown boobies and the brown nudies. Over time, when there were more vegetation, new birds start to come in. Now you have eagles found in Pulau Perak. You also have a lot of terns and swiftlets coming into that area. Now the birds are becoming more cosmopolitan. The population of birds are much wider now than before.
Pulau Perak is an island way off Langkawi. It is seldom that people go there. The distance helps the island to remain as pristine as it can be. But at the same time goes on as people get to know about the island and what lies beneath. If there are no proper governance, whatever remains there most probably will be gone. People know Langkawi for its beaches and the coral at Pulau Perak. And this is different altogether. The island has no beach whatsoever, so most of the diving must be done off the boat.
Exploration covers the trip itself, the exploratory trip, and then the scientific finding and the involvement of some scientists during the project, and also brief but thorough survey of one side of the island. We will have to come to the conclusion later whereby to describe this in a common language to the public so that everyone understands how important it is to preserve this island.
Pulau Perak is interesting in several aspects. Geographically, it is the most western island of Malaysia. It is right out in the Straits of Malacca, just before the Straits of Malacca opens up into the Andaman Sea. That's where you have the influence of the Straits of Malacca as well as the influence from the Andaman Sea. So around Pulau Perak, water depth is approximately 80 meters. The seafloor rises up almost vertically to form Pulau Perak, and the top of Pulau Perak itself is about 80 meters height. Initially, it's really a wall with some pavement before it goes down into the deep sea. And to the north, Pulau Perak itself lies almost at the edge of the continental margin before it passes out into an ocean basin called the Andaman Sea, where the depth goes to more than 1,000 meters deep. It is an extension of the geology of Langkawi Island, especially the western part of Langkawi Island, where the Machincang Formation is exposed. Pulau Perak itself is formed of that sandstone, but it has been metamorphosed. It has formed an anticline with very strong fracture pattern. Now that creates a very rugged topography on Pulau Perak.
And what I find during the survey, find that Tukang Perak is very unique in a way, because some of the coral formation in Tukang Perak are different from other areas because of the topography is different. The species that we found used to be boulder corals. It forms a table. So that one of the examples of how unique it is.
Normally people know about hard coral more than soft corals, but soft corals also contribute to reef builders, but not as much as hard corals. For this trip, actually I'm looking for a gorgonian. I can say the number of hard corals in every square meter is very rich. For soft coral, it's very low, considered 0 per square meter, except for certain group of gorgonia.
Generally in the south and in the north, the coral are healthy and there are evidence of coral that is recovering. We can see new coral growing on the rocks. Whereas in the center of the bay, we see some degradation, and from the water sample we find a small amount of ammonium in the water resulting from the waste coming from the fishing boat that was parked there. The coral in the middle of the bay where the boat is parked also seems to be affected by some disease. We also explore for different sites. We actually explore 4 sites. One in the south, now we call the Manta Alley, the South Manta Alley. One in the middle we call the Lobster Wall, and then there's an anemone city in the northwest side of it. On the north, there's another Manta Alley where we encounter oceanic manta about 3 times.
We saw pelagics like manta. I dived 5 times. I've seen them in 3 out of 5 dives. And my last dive was very eventful, where I saw at least 2 of them at the beginning of the dive as well as at the end. Pelagics like manta is sought after by divers all over the world. And for Malaysians, normally mantas you can only see it probably in Sipadan or even Layang-Layang.
The manta that was found around Pulau Perak, they call the oceanic manta. They are slightly different from the reef manta. They are encountered in atolls and faraway locations, and they are not easy to be found. They do exist anywhere. It's not easy to see them as regular as Tukun Perak. The uniqueness about oceanic manta is that they have the time that they approach the diver, and they have the gracefulness that they as compared to reef manta.
I hope that we find some way to conserve Pulau Perak as well as the sea around it. Presently, it is far away from the mainland. There is not much activity around there, but as boats get bigger and faster, we see more and more divers, fishers, anglers coming close to Pulau Perak and to fish around there. If we do not preserve Pulau Perak in some form, then we will lose a very unique heritage of Malaysia. It is almost like the little Galapagos of Malaysia.
I can see this Pulau Perak is more to a shelter area to deep sea fishermen. I don't see any fishing activities at that area, but we can see maybe the drifted net, some long line from the anglers.
So if we want to preserve Pulau Perak, then we have to do something about these issues. Otherwise, the riches of the environment in Tukun Perak will be affected in the long run by human activity.
So I must say that the water around Pulau Perak is thriving for manta to be around, and I think there is a huge opportunity for diving industry, the state, to conserve the island, to make sure that whatever that is there now will remain there and even prosper for the benefit of the local divers, even international divers who wants to come and have a look at marine life in and around Kedah and Langkawi.